school. I learned the vitamins, the minerals, took the test, passed, and that was it. So I was really having difficult. The science made sense, but I just couldn't put together how it worked. I just wasn't connecting the dots. So I thanked him for his time, and I went out and I was still skeptical. At the time, I was doing clinical research in a freestanding research facility. And I was having problems with my weight throughout my entire adult life. And at this point, I thought it was a weight loss thing. Okay. I really didn't understand anything. And I said, okay, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a clinical study on myself with this stuff. And I'm going to prove it's a bunch of hooey. So I said, give me the same exact thing you were taking. And, he said, oh, we need to set up an account. I said, look, do it in my wife's name. Just get me the stuff. Here's a credit card. So he brings the stuff over. I had my nurses draw a chem profile, lipid panel, inflammatory panel, CBC. I, had them run an EKG. And I went on the thing. I did the 9-day system, 11 days. And at that point, I had been stuck on the South Beach diet for like 3 months. My wife's sending me with the baggies of the, corn strips and all that other stuff. And I always lost weight on these things, but I would always hit a sticking point and I just couldn't go the rest of the way. So I thought I had hit my weight. So I'm into this thing for like about 4 days, and I'm noticing I'm not really hungry like I thought I should be. My energy's pretty good. The nurses are asking me why I'm coming in on time. My wife's asking me why I'm in such a good mood. And, I'm starting to think anything that makes me feel this good, has to be bad for me. So at the end of my 10 days, after being stuck on South Beach for 3 months, I'm down like 12 pounds. So now I said, okay. If it was just you on the call, I would tell you exactly what other issues I had, but needless to say, I had some health issues, which I was doing some things about, and I didn't stop doing what I was doing when I started this, okay? So when I got that lab work back and looked specifically at that lipid profile, I thought it was a lab error because there was such a dramatic difference. And I said, okay, this has got to be a lab error. I'm going to make some adjustments to some of the things I was doing. And I asked my patient what else they had. They said a 30-day system. So I made my adjustments, went on the 30-day system. Now I'm into it 42 days, and I'm down over 30 pounds. I lost like 8 pant sizes, but I was sure that since I made some adjustment to things that I was doing, I was not going to see the same thing on the lab work. Well, I was right. It went up a little bit, like 2 points on everything, but it was still normal, which it had never been. So I'm scratching my head. How's this happening? In the meantime, I have 2 morbidly obese nurses, a husband and a wife. And they're watching me do this, and they say, hey, we want to do what you're doing. And I said, I don't know if this is safe. And they said, well, we don't care whether it's safe or not. Check our blood work and check us like you're checking yourself. So I did. Well, these people started melting away, and they had a lot of issues, and we're doing things for those issues. And after 8 months' time, the husband lost 135 pounds, and he had no issues anymore. And he had some big issues. And his wife lost 85 pounds, and her issues went missing as well. In the meantime, the patients are all watching these 2, and they want to do it. And they say, well, what do we do? And I said, look, I'm a doctor. I can't get involved in this. It's multi-level marketing. It's not ethical. You guys can do whatever you want to do. I'll watch the patients, but I'm not going to get involved. So they called up my patient. He helped them set up an account. But what he didn't tell me is he set them up under my wife, one on the left, one on the right. And the website was in my name. And all of a sudden, they're enrolling these people. I'm taking care of them, getting really good results from these people. And all of a sudden, this credit card comes in the mail, and my wife opens it, and she said, "This is the company you're investigating, and there's a card here, and there's money on it. What are you doing?" I said, "I'm not doing anything." And then the next week, there was more money on it. Now I'm getting scared. So I called up and found out what happened. And my first thought is, oh my God, I'm involved in one of those pyramid schemes. And I kind of freaked out. I was trying to put the brakes on everything. And but it just kept going. And like you said, the turning point came one day where I was seeing this woman that came in for a diabetic trial, and her sugars were out of control, and you know, bottom line, they were so out of control she didn't qualify for the study. And I'm telling her that she didn't qualify for the study, and she's like looking at me because I'm looking perplexed. And she said, "What's the matter? You know, you look perplexed." And I said, "You know, here I am about to offer you another Band-Aid for your diabetes when we really should be talking about your primary problem, the fact that you're 160 pounds overweight." So she starts crying, telling me everything she's tried. I said, "Look, I understand. I found something I'm pretty sure will help you if you're able to follow some simple directions. But I have an ethical dilemma because I found out if I recommend it to you, my wife will receive compensation, and I don't think that's ethical." Well, she looked me right in the eye and she said, "Wait a minute. Every time I walk into this office, you're compensated. And look at me, I'm a mess." And that's kind of when the light bulb went off. And, you know, I mean, this lady was on 10 different medications, which I had no problem writing. And here I am afraid to offer her, you know, a nutritional solution. And granted, well, you know, how much do you make per person? I mean, it's certainly a lot less than the office visit. But that being said, I kind of made sure it wasn't in my name, if you know what I mean. But my wife, you know, received this. But then I started recommending it to patients while I was still in practice, and I had really good results. You know, as a doctor, I found it's not for everybody. You know, I didn't buy into all the hype and everything else. There are certain things you got to be careful with. If people are on blood thinners, it's not an absolute contraindication, but you know, you do need to check their pro times and adjust it because there are certain botanicals that could affect that. If they're on anti-seizure medicines that need to have levels maintained, that needs to be monitored as well. Antiarrhythmics are another one. So, you know, a lot of these things, you know, I hear people saying, "Oh, anybody can take this." No, you know, as a doctor, I always ask people what medicines they're on, and I'm realistic with them about what to expect for it. But from that ethical dilemma point of view, you know, and the other thing I always did as a doctor, I told them right up front that this is a multi-level marketing company. I took the blanket right off, you know, no mystery. I said, "Look, you know, I found something, you need to lose weight. I'm going to offer you 3 different recommendations, one of which I've used myself. But I'm going to tell you, the one I use myself is a multi-level marketing company. And if you choose to do it, I will receive a small commission. I want to make sure up front you're all right with that before I tell you." I think in all the times I've said that, I've had one person say that they weren't comfortable with that. And actually, you know, some other doctors have brought this up that I've worked with, and I've had them fashion a release to sign where the patient signs and it's just a disclosure statement, you know, saying that. And that's kind of how I got around that. I was honest. I was honest about it. I wasn't trying to sneak around. And I said, "Look, they're great products. It works. This is, you know, the way the company does business. If you have a problem with that, you could go to Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, do, you know, whatever other type of thing you want to do. That's fine. I'll still take care of you. No hard feelings. But, you know, this is what I use." And
Mhm. So, certainly just to give you a little bit of background about me, because I realize you have no idea, who I am or what I do. So I'm actively practicing, and I do both obstetrics and gynecology. My main focus is actually very much integrative slash functional medicine.
Uh-huh.
And we always talk about care for the total woman and how a lot of medical care is very much focused on men and the baseline laboratories being, male values, etc. And talk a lot about the hormone changes in women and how those affect our dietary cravings, our nutritional requirements, etc.
Menopause is another.
Um, we sure, yeah, and one of the things that we've adopted are group classes. And I don't know if you're familiar with that from the Cleveland Clinic.
Yes.
Um, are you familiar with them? Yeah. So we do group classes, and in fact, one of my last group classes about gut health, I talked about how the one thing you can control is food,
Mm.
and that all foods, even good foods, are toxic.
Yeah.
And what exactly is meant by good food and all that sort of thing. So I'm on board with you there.
Yeah.
For me myself, I'm not a little person, but I've never had a weight problem. I know you can only see I have kind of a round Native American face here, but I am a solid 155, 160, 5'8" athlete. And I was tri-state champion in karate for 3 years. And on the front page of Yoga and Spa, I'm sorry, what?
I say, I hope I haven't insulted with you.
No, no, no. And then, also, on the cover of Yoga and Spa magazine doing yoga. So, lots of different things, did triathlons for a long time. So definitely always very, very interested into the deeper aspects of nutrition. So, beyond the 1 hour lecture in medical school, way beyond that. And that being said, like you, I get from all angles people throwing, from the muscle heads in my gym, literally the muscle heads in my gym, to, patients who have lost weight on, whatever it is, green coffee beans or whatever. Somebody has something every day that's their magic pill. And so, like you, the first thing I did when somebody told me I've lost a gazillion pounds on this is I said, let me see the ingredients, because I was sure it was going to be another Medifast full of junk.
Sure.
Yeah. So very pleased to see the ingredients. Very pleased to hear stories like Joe's and Mary Quigg, who's a friend of mine. Very, very happy with that. Because, as you probably noticed, I'm glad you only hit a deer and not one of my patients while you were traveling through Missouri, because, Midwesterners are really gaining some weight, and Midwestern women of reproductive age, it's a huge problem. I mean, I don't know how much you dealt with pregnancy, if you did any at all as an FP. I know some people do, but difficulty with polycystic ovarian syndrome and conceiving, difficulty with gestational diabetes, huge, big problem. And then what a lot of people don't realize is that if you're overweight and you have higher blood sugars, you grow a fatter baby, that baby has to get out. So we have astronomical C-section rates. So I'm always looking for ways that I can get people to reduce their carb load. And it's hard because it is a lifestyle change. And so I'm always advocating already protein shakes and trying to find good protein shakes that don't have a bunch of junk in them or a bunch of carb. And always recommending, of course, any kind of weight loss program. Like, yeah, all right, go to Weight Watchers, go to Jenny Craig. But the thing is, those people bounce right back. They're always right back. So, so I'm definitely there. I feel like you hit the nail on the head. I want to shoot this down. I want to say this isn't going to work because
and you know what? That is from a doctor to doctor. How could you not?
right. Right. You have to be skeptic, right?
Yeah,
It has to pass the null or not pass the null hypothesis, right?
yeah.
So, and so definitely one of the things. Now, I don't have a problem. I totally and I agree with what your patient said. You're going to get compensated for me being sick. Why not be compensated for me being well? And certainly we offer a lot of cash pay services as it is.
Mhm.
In our office. We do hormone therapy. We've done some other diet programs. So I'm okay with that. I don't think we have to sign a consent, but it certainly is something I'm going to put my name on. So I want to make sure that it's a good product.
Exactly. In my advice, and some docs felt very squeamish about it. They wanted to like hide from it. I said, I think the best way to get from under it is to be honest about it. This way, everybody's on the same page. I would feel terrible if somebody was taking this for 3 months and then found out, that I was being compensated and thought I wasn't being honest with them.
Right, right. So tomorrow, actually, we have another group class, and this, you will love this. This is funny. So each month that we have a group class, we have a group class. We limit it to 15 women,
Mhm.
and we'll even ask women for suggestions of what they want to talk about. And almost everybody wants to talk about two things, and those two things are hormones and weight loss. And it's funny because I said, all right, this month we're going to talk about cardiovascular disease because everyone wants to talk about their risk of breast cancer, but their risk of cardiovascular disease is 1 in 4. I'm talking to the choir, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We put it out there, and we have 9,000 patients, and we have 5,000 followers on Facebook. And anything that we put out there, I do like a weekly message and 1,000 people look at it. It blows my mind. But we put out there that we're going to talk about cardiovascular disease. We had like 5 people sign up.
Isn't it unbelievable?
We put in there, I said, you know what? Tell everybody we're going to talk about weight loss and cardiovascular disease. The phones blew up and we had to close the class at 15.
Mhm.
And that just tells me that it's really people don't understand the
No,
connection.
you don't.
So tomorrow is this group class where we're talking about weight loss and cardiovascular disease. It will be myself speaking. I've invited a cardiologist, and I've also invited one of the gals who lost 100 pounds on isogenics.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to weave this picture together. But yeah, it's just something. It's
Yeah.
like
You hit
really
a
amazing.
very important thing that, as physicians, we're in reactionary mode so much that we forget that people are kind of like lemmings. And especially with social media and everything, they're just, their attention span just isn't there. So you really do have to connect the dots for them in a very simple but yet profound way. To get that message across.
Yeah.
And here they are worried about breast cancer when you're absolutely right. Their chance of dying of heart disease is much higher.
Much higher.
Higher.
Much higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a question that I did have for you specifically, Joe was kind enough because I said, show me some research, and Joe was kind enough to send me actually an article that you had written saying, I've reviewed this information. I'm not at all connected to it. And
Yeah.
now in hindsight, I don't know when you wrote that. Did you write that before you were involved?
Oh no, it was after I was involved. But here's the thing that this is another thing. I am on the scientific advisory board now, and I'm very gratified that they are investing in good quality research. We've had several double-blind, placebo-controlled studies done, and you can
Compared to what? I'm sorry to interrupt, but compared to what?
a heart healthy diet.
Okay.
Okay, the typical diet the cardiologists give for overweight people with cardiovascular risk factors. What was it called?
Mediterranean diet.
Yes, it was really well crafted because they made the calories equal. They gave them a placebo cleanse, okay, and basically at the end of I think it was 10 weeks. The isogenics group lost 43% more fat, 42% more weight. Their inflammatory factors went down by 35 more percent. And we even measured visceral fat by MRI, and they lost double the visceral fat of the heart healthy diet group. Now, that was good for 10 weeks, but I said, look, what doctors really want to know is this safe and effective long term? So we followed up with that. We got a 2-year study in that's concluding, where basically people went on maintenance and they kept following them. And the ones on the heart healthy diet started going right back to their baseline. And the isogenics group still maintained favorable lipid profiles, visceral fat weight loss, and actually were increasing their lean muscle mass. You could go to isogenicshealth.net.
Okay.
Okay, that's where most of the scientific stuff is. And
Okay.
on the right hand, column, you'll see something about clinical studies. Keep clicking on the blue hyperlinks, and the actual paper from the journals will pop up, and that's what you want to look at.
Okay.
Because they've had the studies published in the Journal of Nutrition, Journal of Metabolism, a couple of good name, scientific periodicals. They've had the studies published in. But
That's
I was pretty impressed with it. The study was done at the University of Illinois at Chicago by a really good, renowned researcher that specialized in intermittent fasting with protein meal replacements. And they did the isogenic 30-day system versus the heart healthy diet and got really, really impressive results.
good to know. Any studies in pregnancy at all?
As you well know, with that vulnerable group, it's hard enough to get drug companies to pony up, the money for, let alone a nutrition company. And, most of the stuff, and, I tell all associates, we do not recommend this in pregnancy. But you really have to look at what's in there. And the only thing that I really can't say are some of the botanical. But yet you're eating a lot of that stuff in food you eat. So,
Right.
well,
And looking at the stuff, the general stuff, there's not anything I would find issue with in pregnancy.
nor I, but I can't recommend it. You know what I mean? But
I
doctor with a patient, and you could basically say that. Look, no studies were done, but stuff you're eating in your food anyway.
Right.
And if it were me, I would take it in your decision type of situation. And basically, because I'm on the scientific advisory board, I can't recommend even to another doctor that you say that. But
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things too that I think in my patient population, there are enough overweight individuals. I mean, you know,
balance the risk.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
The risk.
Uh,
You know something bad's going to happen. You know,
yeah,
and maybe by doing this, you could minimize that risk with really no guarantee of any risk, except that we just don't know. We haven't studied it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm,
I
I'm all about that. And I did that through my whole career. I mean, sometimes you're given two bad things and you got to pick the least bad thing.
yeah, agreed,
Yeah.
agreed. So then shifting gears, you had talked, I know Joe had said that you had talked with him one-on-one about helping him out with his program. So I'm very interested. I signed up of course, here I am, the doctor, I take care of everybody else first, right? So I signed up my husband, who's also, he's 6'5" and all of 200 pounds, maybe 205. So he's a tall, skinny, very lean, muscular guy. Joe's met him. And he's also 10 years older than I am. So definitely looking for how to feel good when he's working out, because he's starting to get a whole lot of aches and pains and things like that. Hasn't been on it long enough for us to be able to really say anything about it.
Time. I hate that they call it a 30-day program because in my experience, it's really like 90 days to get there. It's, I mean, it's common sense. It's common sense.
Yeah. So for myself, what I'm looking for is for myself. The best thing that's going to be for me Certainly, I love putting on a bikini and I want to stay that way.
Oh,
Um, and, um, and so I want to know what I can do to stay lean and stay fit, have the best workouts, have the best energy.
well, I'll
Uh,
tell you, you know, it's funny. When I first started, I needed to lose weight, and I thought it was a weight loss program, but it's much more than that. And the five core elements, in my opinion, everybody could take. Because you think about it, we've got like four cofactors going on in today's world. We've got a toxicity in the air, water, food, you know, everything we touch. We have a deficiency of nutrients in our food supply. We have both internal and external stress, the internal in the form of oxidative stress and external stress. We live in a crazy world. And we have an obesity epidemic. I don't care what anybody says, it keeps going up. There's billions of dollars spent every year in weight loss products, and yet the obesity number of obese people is going up. So something's not right there. Okay, I mean, just doing basic math, that shouldn't be. That's a bad cost to benefit ratio right there. But you know, those four cofactors, not only are they bad in and of themselves, but they feed off of each other, because nutritional deficiency affects our toxic load. The three phases of detoxification, phase one, phase two, phase three, they need certain ingredients. A lot of people think this cleanse, that it's pulling stuff out of the body. No, you know, it's basically supporting the body's own mechanism. You need branch chain amino acids for phase one. You need minerals. You need bioflavonoids. We're giving all of that to make sure it's all there so the body's own system could work properly. And then in phase two, you need trace minerals, which we have. You need CoQ10, which we have. So bottom line, in one very easy to follow way, you're covering all the bases to support the body's systems so the body functions properly.
so, and you're talking about phase one and phase two, which, I don't know enough about the different products to know,
And I
but
didn't either. Trust me, I had to go back to school on all this stuff. You know, I mean, I was busy, you know, with heart attacks and diabetes and all this other stuff. And I'm like the one-armed paper hanger, you know, seeing all these people, you know, prescribing insulin. In the meantime, there's more and more coming through the door every day. So at some point, I had to say, you know, maybe I'm not that great of a doctor. These people aren't getting better. You know, they're getting fatter. They're getting higher dosages, more medications. And it kind of coincided with all of this. So, you know, I call myself a recovering doctor now. It's like, oh my God, you know, I was really looking through the wrong end of the telescope. You know, just like you were saying with the functional medicine, I've been paying attention to that, and that's the way it should be. I'm
did you, and you're not practicing anymore?
not practicing anymore. I haven't practiced for years now. I just do private consulting. I do consulting for the pharmaceutical industry, healthcare. I consult for ACOs, and I consult for financial industry too. They were always after me when I was in research, but I had NDAs. So now that I'm out, they pick my brain. And they pay me. So, you know, that's what I do. And I serve on the scientific advisory committee because I'm into this. Yeah.
Oh, is it a paid position?
It's a stipend, you know, food and travel, you know, nothing to get rich on.
Yeah. I do, so since I own my own company, then I do consulting as well. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I enjoy R&D yeah, enjoy that. And enjoy working with venture capital. Not
Yeah.
as much with the pharmaceutical companies, but
Right.
certainly.
The
Yeah.
pharmaceutical companies I've been getting away from more and more. I just tell them what they're doing wrong. And
Mhm.
I enjoy doing that. Not that they always follow through, but you
Right.
worked in that sphere as a researcher for many years, and that's actually how I became a consultant. I was at an investigator meeting, and a vice president of at the time I think it was Johnson and Johnson was there, had a little too much to drink, and was complaining about their timelines and why they could never come in on time. And I said, I know why. And he said, well, why? I said, well, it's going to cost you. Well, what do you charge? And then I came up with something. Okay, write me a proposal. How much is it going to cost? I wrote them a proposal. They sent me a check. I said, oh my God, I'm a consultant.
And there you go. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love how that happens. Good stuff. But getting back to my question, of saying, what would you, doctor, prescribe for me from the Isogenics program?
Any of the products? Have you used any of the systems at all?
So the only thing, it's actually very, very funny. The same thing that you've done, where I say, first I say, well, give me some of those vitamins. Let me try those vitamins, because what I like about the vitamins, that they're all the same things I was already taking, but it's in a nice little package.
Yeah.
Okay. So first I said, give me those vitamins. And then I said, well, let me have some of those protein bars, because, a typical day for me, well, today I was in the office, I had meetings, I did surgery. Tomorrow I'm in the office, I have surgery, I have meetings. And I might deliver a baby somewhere along the way. So totally crazy, right? For me, I definitely, when you talk about metabolic stress, I've got it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then I think that's the problem with a lot of doctors, is that we're literally burning the candle from both ends. So I've done the shakes, that's what, like I said, this is my dinner. Do the bars. So I had a bar for a snack today. And I haven't totally drank the Kool-Aid, because I'm not sure I want to give up beer or wine quite yet.
You don't have to. I mean, if your weight's okay, and what I always tell people, life's meant to be enjoyed, not endured. And if you're doing the deal 80% of the time, you enjoy the hell out of the other 20%, and then life's all worthwhile. But, I'll give you an idea. I told you what I did. I did like 30-day systems, back-to-back cleanses for as long as it took me to get to my goal weight. And then I kind of did a cleanse like twice a month. And now I do maybe one a month or something of that sort. I still do them. But my typical day, I eat 6 times a day now. And I'm 178 pounds, and I've maintained that now for like 7 years.
How tall are you?
I used to be 6 foot, but I'm about 5'11" now. I'm about 5'11", about 178 pounds. And that's, body fat's probably around 10-11%, which I'm not, the athletic ripped 3%. And I have no intention of putting in that effort to get there. Although I probably could if I wanted to, but that's neither here nor there. But what I do is every morning I'll go to the gym. That's my routine. I'll use their amped line. I use the power. It's got the creatine, the nitrosamine, citrulline, and I'll try to maintain my lean muscle mass, because I'm going to be 63 years old. I've got sarcopenia, no two ways about it. And so I try to maintain that lean muscle mass. I'll do resistance 3 times a week. And in between, I'll do various forms of aerobic, either walking, cycling, swimming, whatever. But I'll do some form of exercise every day. I'll have the shake, and I use Isoline Pro Shake because it's got and like I said, I'm sarcopenic. So I take a Isoline Pro Shake every morning. I do use the Ionic Supreme. It does have the adaptogens, and I'll tell you, I use it twice a day, and I swear by it. When I run out, I feel it. And then probably about 3 hours after that, I'll have berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, Brazil nuts, walnuts, almonds, and oatmeal. And
those are my favorites.
Yeah, and then probably about 3 hours after that, we'll have fish with vegetables, and maybe a sweet potato. Then about 3 hours after that, I'll have another isolene shake. And 3 hours after that, we have some chicken and another type of vegetable and a fruit. And that's my day. And at nighttime, if I'm really trying to increase lean muscle mass, I'll have 1 scoop of Isopro, which is just the protein. I'll take that at bedtime because it will stimulate the growth hormone. And that's pretty much my routine.
Did you say you do the Ionic Supreme twice a day?
I'll take it around breakfast time and dinner time. It's best taken with food. But that would be something if you're athletic and you're working out and you're at a good weight, you don't really need to change what you're doing. You're just supplementing it from the way it's looking here with 2 shakes a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 shakes and again, you could use the bar to substitute for the shake, but the bar's only got 18 grams of protein, and that Isolene Pro has 36.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like.
You do resistance at all?
Say again.
You do resistance exercise at all?
I do. I do. I try to mix it up and do. I do some resistance. I'm not, even though, so even though I do a lot of yoga, it's not easy for me. I'm not one of those yoga chicks. So,
my wife, she's been trying to pull me into that forever, and I feel like a fish out of water.
yeah, it's just not the way my muscle groups work. So that's why it's so important.
Yeah.
So resistance training, weight training,
Yeah.
yoga, cardiovascular, whatever, try to mix it up.
Muscle confusion's where it's at. You just keep hitting it from different angles. And,
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're adding these shakes and everything, you're going to find that the meals in between aren't huge meals. And that's the beauty part of it. I'm eating small quantities pretty much all day long, and I'm never hungry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's great.
Probably I'm able to consume more calories now without gaining weight than I did before because my body composition changed and I have more lean muscle mass now as opposed to fat. So I'm burning fat more efficiently.
Great.
So
awesome.
For people that don't need to lose weight, that's kind of where I'll start them at like 4 meals a day. I'll say, okay, well, eat 2 of your meals a day and 2 shakes. Let's start with that and see how it works out. At the end of about 2 weeks, are we gaining weight? Are we losing weight? Are we where we want to be? And what I like about it as a doctor, it's flexible. You can really adjust it, according to what your body needs.
Yeah. And, that's key because I'll tell you, case in point. So, when I have to begin to operate and I know I have a big case, if I don't get a chance to eat some breakfast and I go into the doctor's lounge, what are my options? Bananas or donuts?
Yeah.
and that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's where, you bring the bars or something like that. And even the amped line during a long surgery, they got that fuel, which is like a gel, just have to pour it in the mouth. It's got, easily digestible glucose, which won't spike, and it's got branched chain amino acids. If you're doing an AP repair or something like that, that's going on forever, just have squeeze that in your mouth and you're good to go.
Everything now that I do is all minimally invasive surgery, and I don't know how long ago you start practicing medicine, but I use the Da Vinci robot a lot.
I had my prostate taken out with the Da Vinci.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that machine. So it's like operating like I have 4 hands, and so I can just
video
zip. Yeah, I can zip around and whirl that thing around. I love that. Yeah, and I'm glad that you had. I mean, gosh, it's. For the prostates, there's nothing better to make it minimally invasive.
What happened, and this was right as I got into isogenics, and all of a sudden my PSA shot up. Oh boy, I went from like a 1 to like a 3.5 in like 8 months. And
scary.
So I went in, he didn't feel anything, and we did another test. I think we need to biopsy, and 6 out of 12 came back positive for, pretty aggressive adenocarcinoma.
Ah, crap.
So, I'm here in the Phoenix area. The only place that had the Da Vinci was Mayo Clinic. They didn't accept my insurance. And I used to practice in the Northeast in Connecticut. So I called my friend there, and he had a friend at Columbia Presbyterian. So I flew down to Columbia Presbyterian, had the robotic done there, and stayed with a friend for a week, got the Foley pulled, and came back. But it was great. I walked out of there next day. 5 cc's blood loss. you know,
That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. And then, not to get into your business, so I'll just speak in generalities, but because inevitably I become people's primary care physician, a lot of women, and we do a lot of hormone therapy, a lot of women bring in their husbands. So I see a fair amount of men with, post prostate surgery and the issues surrounding that as far as incontinence and performance issues. And I'm super excited about all the things we can do about that now.
The nerve sparing aspect of that is great. Obviously, you got to feed that they're unavoidable.
Right.
After that, I mean, wow. God bless technology. It really is amazing.
Yeah.
One thing is being kind of an old doc. I look and I go, wow. I'm like impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's super exciting. And then, of course, the minimizing your inflammation with the isogenics is probably going to go a long way.
I couldn't believe how I zipped in and out, because I was at a good weight. I was like, when I had the surgery done, like 170 pounds. And, I took 2 Tylenol. That was it. And, I'm okay. I'm ready to go. I'm out of here,
That's so awesome. That's awesome. I'm really glad. I'm glad to hear that.
Recommend for you, Teresa, at this point, and give it a shot. Have you checked blood work before and after? Like, if you do the 5 cores, it's interesting. Even if your blood work's good, which it probably is. I mean, mine wasn't. I couldn't believe what a change it had on my lipid profile. They told me, you got, familial hyperlipidemia, nothing's ever going to change this. The God knows I tried to have me on buttloads of medication. I'm no medication, and unenviable lipid profile. It's crazy.
That's
Really.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm all over myself with labs for sure because I feel like I have to practice what I preach. And
exactly. And
yeah,
the thing with the isogenics, I really don't have a problem talking with people about it because I'm not telling them to do anything I'm not doing. I'm not trying to sell anything. This is what I do. If you want what I have, this is what you need to do. If you don't, that's okay.
awesome.
But you want to know what I'm doing? This is what I'm doing. If you want to do it, I'll help you do it. If you don't, that's fine. Maybe you want to look over here, but you're going to find that because you're a busy doctor. If people really want to do it, you're going to help them do it. And if they don't, I'm sure you got patients that you want to hit over the head with a club that, you give them a prescription, they come back with full bottles or, I had all of those. And what did you expect to put the bottle on the drawer and have it work? Not that, I wish you didn't need the medicine, but now I know why you do.
Yeah. People have their free agency for sure. I really appreciate your time. I really do. And I guess the only other thing I should probably say is that if you have any of those people you're consulting with who need an OB/GYN to consult with, send them my way.
You keep that in mind. Get my email from Heidi, or I think Joe may even have it.
I don't, Nick.
Yeah, I remember. I remember talking with you, Joe.
It was down in San Antonio at New Year's Kickoff. Yeah, yes. You and Paul Arciero were standing there.
Yes, I remember. I recognized you on the previous call. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
You look great.
Thanks. I feel good. I just turned 60. I feel 40.
Like 60 is the new 40, Joe.
Absolutely, man.
That's awesome. So I will get that email from Heidi. And And I'll send you my contact and my bio.
Yeah, and I'm always running across people, with this consulting business. Yeah, if they're looking for an OBGYN, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, why not? Because yeah, it's stuff I enjoy.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're doing a study actually for a glucose monitor currently in my office called Glucose Mama for moms with gestational, but yeah, Glucose Mama. So hopefully that R&D will continue to go.
Good, good.
Yeah,
All
awesome.
right, guys. Well, nice talking with you all. Good seeing you, Joe. And
Thanks.
have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
For
you.
your time too.
Sure, yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
See you guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
You too. Hey, Joe, you want to talk on the phone or actually, if we're just here, I guess we can talk to each other this way.
We can talk here.
Awesome. Hey, yeah.
As long as we want.
Yeah.
You know
Thanks
what?
a lot.
I'm gonna stop the recording though, okay?
Oh, okay.
Heidi asked me to record this so she could listen to it later.